Hi guys, this is Hero. How's everyone doing today? Aaj bala kem cho? Aaj sab kaise ho? So today, as you can see, I'm back in my usual setting. Okay, I finally got a chair. It's a different chair, so it looks a little different, but hopefully the video turns out okay. And yes, I finally shaved and got a haircut. So, for the new year, Diwali, everything like that. So back to normal. And I'm finally back in town now, so there won't be as much big of delays between videos. Especially now that I have a haircut. Okay. Now, today's topic is identifying your spouse or partner characteristics based off of astrology. Okay. Vedic astrology, to be specific. So, there's two things you got to keep in mind here that not a lot of you might know. The first one is this. Your chart shows in general how your spouse is going to be to you. Okay. How your spouse is to you is not how your spouse is to everybody else, okay? You could think your spouse is super annoying, and everybody else could think she's an angel or he's an angel. Vice versa. You could think she's an angel or he's an angel, and everybody else could think they're super annoying, okay? So I hope that kind of put things into perspective here. Now, your chart shows a little bit more how you view your spouse, okay? These other things like, you view your spouse as super great, but everyone else views her as, complete crap. That is shown from the chart, but it's a lot more of a subtlety that I don't think I'm going to discuss in this video. Because I want to keep it a little bit short. I might make a part 2 or part 3 to this video later. But moving on. So that's the first thing, okay? This is showing just how she is or he is for you. I might say she because I've obviously looked into this and, I'm determining this for myself, but he can be synonymous in this video. Okay. The second thing is this. The circumstances in which you meet, and this is actually pretty big and a lengthy point. The circumstances in which you meet your spouse are very, very, very important for the entire length of the relationship. Here's what I mean by this. So back in the day, they used to time marriages very, very, very specifically, okay? Because back in the day, at least in Indian culture, most Indian cultures or like societies, the marriage was the start of the relationship. It was the first time they were meeting sometimes. Like a lot of times it was the first time they were meeting. Definitely the relationship started then. So it was like the birth of something new. So they wanted to really make sure the marriage timing was correct. However, now people use the same marriage timing principle, but it's not as effective. Why? Because the relationship was usually already formed way before the marriage started. The marriage is just, I'm not going to say it's just a piece of paper. There's a lot of promise and thought that goes into the marriage, that it's somewhat important. But the strength of the relationship, how you view your partner, all that is shown from the circumstance in which you met this person. Okay, so I just want to make that clear. Okay, you can have certain characteristics in your chart. She can have certain characteristics in her chart. But if you guys both kind of met at bad dashas, this is most likely not going to work out. This is why I try to promote that, if you're running your end of Rahu or a certain part of your Ketu, that you do not move forward with a certain person. Or if you do, you really got to wait till later and make sure. But the reason why this is, and I'm kind of going to give you another analogy for this, is that, okay, there's certain transits in the sky, right? Like, let's just say Venus goes into Libra or Venus goes into Pisces. Your life could be a little bit more positive overall. But because this occurred from a transit standpoint, everyone is kind of going to feel this a little bit, right? But you're also going to feel this. But if your Venus is in Virgo, or it's in Aries, or somewhere where it's not feeling too hot, not literally hot, but it's just not feeling too great, then even if Venus goes into this, in the sky and transit-wise, it goes into Libra, Pisces, whatever, you're still going to feel that your own personal flavor of Venus in Aries or Venus in Virgo as well, okay? Similar to here. If you have these great, marriage combinations or whatever, your spouse is super good looking, all this kind of stuff, but or let's just say your spouse is super, into you, they're not really causing any problems, all this kind of things, but you meet your spouse during a Rahu Antardasha, let's just say for an example, throughout the entirety of the relationship, because the relationship from a spiritual standpoint was born when you met that person in your Rahu Antardasha. So that Rahu energies are going to be there as far as you viewing that person forever, just like how your birth chart is applicable forever. So I just want to throw that out there, okay? That the circumstances in which both of you guys meet each other are very, very important, okay? Which especially which dashas you're running, okay? Now, moving forward, this video is going to be more of a general video and advanced at the same time, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. General, because there's only so much I can say in this video, and advanced because kind of touching other topics that you guys might have not have heard other places that is more true from an absolute standpoint, okay? Anybody can just say some bullshit and get away. I can say anything about, your current spouse or partner, your ex-spouse or partner, and it could apply to some minor extent, okay? I'm trying to avoid those kind of vague statements, and I'm also trying to avoid those other kind of specific statements that could be refuted very easily. Now, or that's highly opinionated. Now, moving forward. So the next general but advanced point I want to make is divisional charts versus the Lugna chart. So as you guys know, I value divisional charts very, very much, okay? For marriage, I definitely advise looking at D3, 4, 7, and 9, okay? 7 is going to show the materialistic aspects of the marriage. 9 is going to show more the spiritual aspects of the marriage. 4 is kind of going to show the more, you could almost say, mentally comforting aspects of the marriage. And 3 is going to show the effort level of the marriage, okay, as far as you with this person. And then the Lugna chart is going to show how this person is affecting you more on the surface, okay, in my opinion. But that I've found to be pretty true. Now, so I just want to keep that in mind here, okay? If your Lugna chart is looking really, really good, but this person is still having, you're still having some problems with this person, and assuming, all the dashas lined up, all this kind of stuff, it could be something with the divisional charts, okay? If you're putting in way, way more effort with this person, okay, most likely it might be something to do with D3, okay? If it's something with the home specifically, like, you just don't kind of feel it at home, yeah, I guess you can say, maybe it's D4, okay? You don't like sleeping with this person, not, getting physically intimate, but you just don't like being so close to this person, the food is not good, all this, the comfort level of things with this person. Just overall materially, if things are not great, they just don't make you laugh, all that kind of, stuff, it's probably D7. And from a spiritual standpoint, as far as overcoming obstacles from a spiritual absolute sense, which is why the Navamsha is looked at the most, because it's arguably the most important, okay? And this does tie into effort, yes, but this is why, 9 is 3 times 3. But those kind of things are looked at from D9, okay? And as you can kind of tell, in my opinion, the 9th is the most important, okay? Now, as far as the other 3, which ones are the most important, it all depends on which aspects of the life that you value, and as well as obviously which ones that you're having problems with, because wherever you're having problems with is the ones that you're going to focus on the most. Now, kind of gave this little synopsis. This is all very personal divisional charts, so I'm not going to touch too much into this more. I'm going to kind of go more towards the D1 chart, okay? Because this is the one that most people care about, okay, because this is everything on the surface, okay? But as far as those other things, I hope that kind of made sense, what I was talking about. If you're having some problem, or if you've noticed something really good, and either one of those things is not shown from the Lugna chart, it's most likely shown from one of these divisional charts that, based off the information I just told you, hopefully you're able to identify, especially based off of, the current dashas that are going on for you, and as well as the dashas that were going on when you met your spouse or your partner, okay? You can look at those planets and kind of see, okay, how they are here, and say, hey, that makes sense, okay? Now, moving on to the famous Lugna chart on the surface. So like I said, the circumstances in which you met this person are going to be very, very important. I have to touch on this. a little bit, okay? Let's just say you met this person during a Rahu Antardasha, okay? This person most likely is going to cause, before I finish this, I know what a lot of you guys are gonna think, okay, my seventh lord, my Venus, it's placed great. Yeah, that's great. That's going to be a little bit of importance. Okay, I'm not saying that there's no importance here, but it's gonna become more highlighted when you are running either your seventh lord or Venus Antardasha or Mahadasha. Or these could apply if at the time you met this person, you were running your seventh lord or Venus Mahadasha or Antardasha, okay? And one other thing that I want to throw in mind here is that, okay, I know you guys might focus on 7th house, some people focus on 11th, whatever, 2nd, 5th. All planets to an extent have an effect on your relationship, okay? I don't care what house it is. They all have an effect, okay? I can go around all the houses and say how they specifically involve marriage, okay? For example, your 2nd house is your family. Your 5th house is your romance. Your 4th house is your comfort level at home. Your 7th house is your actual, bond with this person. Your 11th house is how they, they kind of please you materialistically more from an outer word standpoint. Your 8th house is more intuition, and also, I guess let's just coin it like that for right now. What intuitive you're kind of learning or not learning from this person. Your 9th house is more from a consciousness level, what you're learning or not learning from this person. Even your 10th house can show, your 10th house kind of shows your standing in society. So obviously your wife is gonna, or your spouse or your husband, whatever, your partner is going to be signified by this. Now, some houses, yes, are signifying it a little bit stronger than others, but all houses have some effect on your relationship partner, okay? Just want to keep that in mind. So don't just look at 7th house. Yes, 7th house is the most important. I will say that hands down. But don't just look at 7th house. Same thing. It's not just Venus that shows your relations. It's all your planets. But moving forward. So when you met this person, depending on, let's just say you met them in a Rahu Antardasha, you're going to notice there's a little bit more of those Rahu energies that are going to be present throughout your relationship, which is not usually in general the most ideal, okay? But let's just say Venus, it rules your 4th and your 9th house, and you were running that, you just started that, your Venus Mahadasha, when you met this person. Probably it's going to be pretty smooth in general, at least on the surface, because like I said, internally, how things are going on, how you view them internally, you've seen from the divisional charts, but things are going to go real smooth on the surface, okay? They're going to do everything you want on the surface in the house, okay? Remember I said D4, let's say Venus owns your 4th house and you're running a Venus Mahadasha. Yeah, sure, they can do everything you want to do in the house, but do you like it or not is shown from the D4. So I hope that was kind of made clear too. As you guys know, I kind of freestyle these videos, so I'm not really thinking about this too much. I just thought of this topic like 5 minutes before I made this video. But I just want to make that clear, okay? The divisional chart's more how internally, but D1 is more externally. But now, moving forward. So let's just say Venus owns your 4th and the 9th, okay? That means you have Taurus in the 4th and Libra in the 9th. So this is pretty good. And especially if you just started your Venus Mahadasha when this relationship started, most likely this flavor is going to continue throughout the whole Mahadasha, and even after the Mahadasha ends, because this base was built so strongly, it's going to have a lasting effect throughout the rest of your life, because Venus is 20 years, okay? So I hope that was kind of clear, that, okay, when you met this person, the energies that were present with you and with that person, it is a little more complicated, but let's just talk about just for your chart right now, since, you're analyzing how this person is for you, since these days most of us just care what this person is doing for us. Now, so if Venus is ruling your 4th, at home they could do a lot of things that you like. 9th house, on the surface there could be a lot of good things as far as overcoming obstacles and things like that. Okay, this is why the Lagna chart is important too. You can't just look at internally. You can, but external matters too, okay? Especially with things like marriage. Now, so like I said, I kind of give you an example of Rahu and the example of Venus. These two things, these two concepts, excuse me, can apply to any planet depending on how, things were when you met this person, like I said. Now, moving on to the second point, which I actually kind of already covered already, which is, okay, I have my seventh lord, I have my Venus really well placed. Yeah, sure. These things are great, and these flavors will be really present more when you run your seventh lord or Venus antadashas, or even pratyantadashas, or if you're lucky to run these mahadashas. Great. But like I said, they're not always all the time. And if they weren't present too strong when you met this person, they're not going to be that present throughout the whole entirety of the relationship, only when you run these dashas. And also, all planets and all houses have some effect on relations and marriage and things like that. So you need to take that into consideration. Don't just get blindly, get ahead of yourself that, I read on the internet that, if my seventh lord is exalted, my marriage is going to be super great. That might be the case, that might not, but you need to look at everything. Yeah, sure. There's probably, if you look at, a million people, and let's just say, if you take an average of, let's just say half people have a great marriage, half people have bad, okay? And so it's 50-50, good or bad, just average, general person. Now you look at someone who has seventh lord exalted. Yeah, sure, there might be a higher correlation. 70% might be great, and while only 30% is bad, which is pretty good. Over 2/3 is a lot better than just half and half. But like I said, to confirm more, which I'd strongly suggest you do, you need to look at other variables, which I've kind of talked about in this video, okay? Now, I'm going to make more, maybe part 2, part 3, and obviously, as you guys know, if you have any questions or comments, you can let me know in the comment section or through email. But for right now, I think this was a good place to get started and get rolling in the right direction, because I noticed a lot of people, they just look at, where's my seventh lord, where's my Venus, and go from there, which in my opinion, like I said, there might be a strong correlation with that, but that's not necessarily going to show a strong 100% confirmation in the things that you want to look for. Okay, and yeah, I think that's it for this video. So like I said, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know. And until next time, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you guys, everyone for watching.